Good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here. And I'm well aware that the bar will be open soon, so we've got 20 minutes to get through. I'm just going to introduce this subject with a small preamble, harking back to the 1960s and 70s in Sri Lanka, which was a time of great austerity. Import restrictions, social upheaval, political uncertainty, many challenges which are sort of echoed in today's climate here. But not just specifically to Sri Lanka, I suppose recently we've also had COVID-19 related supply chain disruptions, issues in the Red Sea, the Suez Canal, etc., etc. But the reason I'm evoking the era of the 60s and 70s in Sri Lanka is because despite these challenges, there was a tremendous burst of creativity. And Mr. Jeffrey Bauer's name has come up several times tonight, but he truly started to make his mark in this era. And it was not just limited to him. Minette De Silva, who was one of Asia's first women architects, and Mr. Ulrich Plesner, and several other key creative personalities came to the fore with their work, and today their work is internationally recognized. And it was this era of this challenging environment that pushed them to create. And they often had to do a lot with a little. I'm reminded of the US Marines the US Marine Corps has an unofficial motto: improvise, adapt, and overcome. And it is in that spirit that I'd like to perhaps talk about this discussion piece, The Designer's Dilemma, educating designers and owners on cost-effective design options. So to start with, we're all aware of, we would all love the ideal client. If Mr. Mukesh Ambani walked in with a blank check and gave us a project, we'd all be very happy indeed. But budgets will always be an issue. And in that spirit, I'd like to ask all the members of the panel, just if you can very quickly maybe give us perhaps, is there anything specific that you have seen lately that clients bring to you as a concern, particularly in terms of detailing, but anything which you find is sort of challenging in terms of, in terms of how clients perceive budgets, and they bring up, there are all the general problems we always face, but I'm just wondering if there is anything specific you've noticed, and if we could perhaps go through the panel one by one very quickly just to see what the trends might be.
Hi, good evening. The question is very awful to ask, give an answer to. Thing is that when you talk about a project in a different matter, that how expensive and how best we can do it, but the answer could be in a way that we should say the cost effectiveness is going to really happen when the end product gives the real awesomeness and the aesthetic value has been taken care. That's what I feel.
Actually, the basic point is here that the client comes with the to maintain the balance between their aesthetic as well as the cost effectiveness. So for this matter, there are few things I would like to share. Like, client always wants their project to be at best with the minimum of the cost. So few points like material selection, that is very important, that we have to find out some alternative materials which are good as well as they are equivalent to those of the expensive materials. Client wants to go with the cheap labor to reduce the cost of the material, but the cheap labor really cost him to is more replacement cost after a few years. So that is very important points which I feel.
So in terms of talking about the design process for any project as an interior designer, I would like to say the clients are very money conscious, that is true. But at the same time, they are quality conscious as well. So in terms of rupees and cents, they might say we want a lower budget, but at the same time, they want quality product. So the designers and the architects are trapped in this particular trap. So it is up to the designer concerned to come out of it and convince the client and go through it and give, at the end of the day, a good product.
Thank you, Rohan. Yes, I agree that I think the starting point of a designer, it has to start from the structure itself to bring the cost down and simplify the structure to, I think, relate it to the brief that the client wants. And as you say, to convince the client, if he has a budget, that let's simplify the design, and then from the structural part, then you go into the finishers, and then select cost-effective finishers, or as you were saying, alternative materials to bring the cost down. I think that's the way to go.
I probably will talk from a manufacturer's perspective. So I think this cost issue is a constant battle, and quality comes at a price, unfortunately. But having said that, I think in our own way, we've tried to re-engineer, improve the bill of materials for products without compromising on the specification, on the parameters. So I think it's a constant battle across our categories on how do we keep a check on costs, how do we offer a cost-effective solution without compromising on specifications, technical parameters, aesthetic value, durability. So I think it's a constant battle, and which it's good pressure, I think, when architects, customers, furniture makers put pressure on us. It also helps us keep a check on our overheads, expand production, reduce the cost. I think it's a good battle. But yes, it's a thin line, and we need to be mindful about, sustainability, compliances, specification, yet keep our costs under check. But yes, quality does unfortunately cover the price.
Hi, good evening. First of all, thank you very much, Greenlam, for giving me the opportunity to be here. In my opinion, the cost limitations of a project is often spark the most of the creative part of it. Say a big part of our job is to find the perfect balance where a client's dream project aligns with the realities of their budget. That's very important. After all, it's the details that really makes a space sing. But those choices can really add up. That's where we step in. We help clients understand the value of different solutions, the value of concepts like reusability, or even explore alternative materials and finishes that deliver that, you call it wow factor, without breaking the bank. It's definitely a balancing act. Thank you.
Thank you, Salim. The conductor of an orchestra is responsible for bringing many instruments together to create a beautiful piece of music. And the architect is very much a conductor. This first question, I think, for Professor Rohan De Silva is whether you can, and other members of the panel also, whether you can reflect a little bit about your design philosophy in terms of ensuring that there is a coherent language between interior and exterior, given several disparate partners involved, particularly in the time where everyone is trying to get the best out of the budget and also get the best for what they can represent.
Yes, why not? Well, when we are talking of this situation, now suppose you are talking about a good example about an orchestra, how the orchestra perform. This is something which is very unique in the fields what we are involved in. Firstly, let me say, it has to be, I have got 6 parts of for the answer for the question. Unified vision. That is something which is very important. Establish a clear concept and collaboration and communication. That is how the designers work together. Then the second part is going to be design elements, such as material palettes, architectural details, scale and proportion. Thirdly, functionality and flow. Functional integration, natural light and weaves. This is something which we always value. Try to make use of the natural light as much as possible in all our interiors, and that's what we do. Fourthly, a cultural and environmental context, contextual design and sustainability, which is again an important factor, sustainability. Then client and user experience. This is something which really adds to any designers or any architect's experience, because the client and the end user's experience is very, very vital. Then only the architect or the designer can remain in the market and move forward. So the user-centric approach, this is something which we should not miss out. As creators, you must always go with the user-centric approach, where we deliver the best for the user. Finally, it is the documentation and visualization, which is with 2 parts. Detailed documentation. That is something we designers and architects and creators tend to miss, because we are more concerned about the design aspects and all the technical details, not on the documentation. That is something important. And the visualization tools, 3Ds and animations, all that. So that by taking the client through using the walkthroughs, you can definitely elaborate the design and work towards it. Thank you.
Thank you. Amit, Salinder, do you have any perspectives? Perhaps Amit?
Yes.
Or Salinder?
Yes, thank you. Once again, it's exactly like, as you said, conducting an orchestra, where each instrument, or in our case, each design team, or they have their own tasks. They have their unique sound and contribution for a project. So our role as project managers is to ensure they all play together harmoniously. That's very important. One of the most important things we do is facilitate open communication between the teams as the first thing, right from the very beginning. That's very important. And we encourage them to share ideas, concerns, and potential challenges in an open manner. It's like having the violins and cellos in an orchestra talk to the trumpets and percussion. So everyone knows what the others are doing. It's of extremely important. This prevents any disharmony down the line. One more thing, we also help create a common design language. This means choosing a palette of materials, textures, colors, and shapes that work both inside and out. It's like creating a visual melody that flows seamlessly throughout the entire project. As Professor just mentioned, technology is a fantastic tool in our arsenal. So all these, with the help of AI, the 3D models and virtual reality, to give everyone a lifelike experience of the entire finished product. This helps us all visualize the big picture and catch any potential issues before the project, before the real problem comes. Of course, even the regular checkups, maybe say site visits or even quality checking or even design reviews, they are very crucial. We need to make sure the design is being built as intended, and that everyone is still tuned with the overall vision. It's like making sure the orchestra doesn't miss a beat during the performance.
Thank you.
Finally, by taking this proactive and collaborative approach, we ensure that the final product is a harmonious blend of interior and exterior design, a symphony of spaces that function beautifully and delight our clients. That's the ultimate goal of any project manager, cum architect, isn't it? Thank you.
Thank you, Sanlinda. Amit, perhaps a quick reflection on...
Yeah, I will just like to say it's only the collaboration. The collaboration of the team is the important part. Here in our studio, we collaborate with our architects, interior designers, consultants. They are on the very same panel so that we can collaborate it easily and go through to maintain the design cohesiveness. Thank you.
Right, thank you. Mindful of the time, I'm just going to put this next question to Reggie and Shamika. This is about local craftspeople and incorporating them, sort of marshalling them as a conductor would into complex projects with difficult deadlines, tighter budgets, and in the Sri Lankan case, for example, outward skilled migration. Would you like to reflect on how you might, what your best strategies are for that?
To bring the local practitioners into the current era with the complex design requirements and deadlines, consider the following points. Training and upskilling would be one real good option to bring them up in the next level. Offer workshop training and sessions and mentorship programs to enhance their skills and knowledge of modern design tools and technologies. That would be one option, would really bring them up in the next level. Collaboration and co-creation would be another area wherein which we have to consider them, work closely with them and to get to know their strength and their limitations. And technology integration also very playing in a very integral part in this, because no technologies can bring them in a very good manner to understand things and how quickly we can take things forward. And market access also, that is, and exposure also would really help them to bring in meet the deadlines and the timelines. I think these are the few points which we can bring them up in the next level of this thing.
Sure,
Thank you.
And Shamika, maybe very quickly.
Yes, I think just like we train our interns in an office, right, and how we guide them and make them, mature and become architects. Just like that, in a site with subcontractors, I think it's up to us to train them and guide them in different the skills that they are used to, and maybe use them and teach them with the past detailing, and obviously by incorporating those designs of the cultural detailing. So then it's up to us to train them and get it going.
Sure, I would have thought, again, one of the difficulties is training people and then finding that there are opportunities elsewhere that they might have moved on to. But then when you have certain centralized systems also that you can deploy quickly to bring people up to speed, I think that can help also, which sort of leads into some of the other questioning I have for Mr. Mittal. But I just wanted to check with the event team if we could get 5 more minutes to wrap things up. Great. So I just wanted to touch on the nature of upcycling and also how companies like Greenlam can, in this era of climate change and again, even in countries that are booming versus countries that are recovering, the problems still are there where climate change and sustainability can almost seem like a luxury. Because they really want to develop or they're just surviving. But how can you, using Greenlam's sort of case study, how can you really maintain that commitment and build on it for a very ecologically conscious future?
So climate change is for real, and I think we're all facing it in our country and across the world. At Greenlam, I think it's again work in progress. It's a journey. And we have undertaken several initiatives on sustainability, right from procurement of raw material, using recycled raw material without compromising on the specification, technical parameters, physical performance. We've converted certain part of fuel to cardinal, which comes from cashew trees. We've moved from coal to biomass. We've become a zero discharge plant. All STP water gets treated, bring back to gardening and trees. So across the entire manufacturing process, I think a lot of initiatives have been taken, several will be taken. So I think it's a journey. And because we also export to Europe, Europe is the largest market. Standards and the stringent requirements in Europe in terms of FSC, PEFC, certifications is quite tight. So I think that pressure has also helped us upgrade ourselves. In India, unfortunately, from a product standpoint, it's still not very tight in terms of the green initiative on the product side. People don't pay as much attention as they should pay. So really, I think it's a journey, and we're on that. The new factory we're launching in Andhra Pradesh for particle boards is again, boards are going to be made of waste wood, waste from sawmill, timber wastage. So I think lots of those things are happening, and clearly more should happen, within our country at least, and in our industry. But I think we're moving in a certain direction. There's more and more awareness from a corporate governance perspective. Investors are pushing it, banks are pushing it, customers are pushing for it, architects are pushing for it. Developers, builders want, from green certified products. So yes, I think it's a longish and a vast subject. But clearly, I think we're moving on a certain path in that direction. I hope that makes sense.
Perfect sense. And unfortunately, time is against us. I would have loved to sort of engage in this subject to a greater depth, particularly to talk about, maybe we can steal a minute if anyone has any perspectives on upcycling, for example. I recently read of someone who was using used currency notes to create surfaces and building materials. So just if we could maybe just very briefly touch on that.
I could just add, I was talking particle boards, and someone was telling me a lot of old furniture in Europe gets recycled to make boards again. And particle boards, if you recycle one board of particle board, you get one more board of particle board. So there are equipments now, which have come from Europe again, on recycling furniture, old panels, because that's all dry, there's no moisture in the wood, and they get converted into boards. So I think lots is happening, and I'm sure we will feel the impact of it as we go. And technology is becoming increasingly more affordable, and I think it's more. So I think they're talking from what cradle to cradle, right? Earlier was cradle to graveyard, and now it's moving from cradle to cradle. So what is your reuse of the product once it gets done? So I think several discussions are going on actually.
Within this last minute, would anyone on the panel like to talk about it, perhaps an experience of where they've successfully used upcycled materials or anything within?
Professor Vance.
I'm sorry to barge in, but I thought having taught building economics and construction economics to all our architects in Sri Lanka, the basic problem in managing is that the root cause is that none of the architectural schools have, there is a subject in economics or, building economics. So in reality, you can't ask someone to think about it when you don't know anything, you see. So, and also, so the start is education. From the schools of architecture all over the world, we have 5 years of architecture, but nothing in, we have technology, but nothing in costing, nothing in management. So I think that's one of the root causes of why we as architects don't bother about cost that much, but we do really have to work on it. And also one other thing I think is circular economy, circular construction. That is, we, as you say, we use material and you recycle, so there are many things. Anyway, I'm sorry to barge in, but this is one of my favorite projects because I have taught all these architects, none of them ever listen to me, you see. They always design over budget. You see, I'm working with a lot of architects in Sri Lanka, but they just don't listen. So anyway, thank you very much.
Saurabh, there you have the subject for the next Greenlam Summit. Professor Verikara has quite rightly touched on.
We
some
will
very key
listen to
points.
you, madam.
Actually, talking about doing work within a budget, you also have to be lucky with a client who really takes a chance with you, And one project, I did get that, where he was very open enough to say, the entire building, let's just use recycled material. And we were able to do a 3-story house without any concrete, with recycled material. So, I mean, you have to have the luck of getting some clients who have that faith in you. So it is possible. It is possible.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, everyone. I wish we could have gone into greater depth, but I'm sure people have plenty of questions afterward. And I hope that at least this is the start of, particularly between our two nations, India and Sri Lanka, sort of harnessing India's resolve and Sri Lanka's resilience and being able to perhaps craft a design language that is very, very collaborative and really touches on the vibrancy for us to be able to go forward and push through many of the challenges that we face and perhaps will in the future. So thank you very much, everyone. Thank you for staying with us.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you very much, Tessa. Thanks a lot.